Supply and demand is a very simple concept. It involves a certain service, commodity, or product, and people's desire for that product. Their desire, if it increases, will make the price of an item increase, or their lack of a desire will make the product's price decrease. Therefore, the supply and demand of a product, depending on whether it goes up or down, makes the price increase or decrease. This video is based around that concept of supply and demand. We're taking the Lego market and using it to help us learn more about basic economics. It is mind-boggling to some that a plastic Lego minifigure can sell for thousands upon thousands of dollars, whereas a less popular, more accessible figure can sell for 50 cents on occasion. As can be inferred from the thumbnail and title of this video, the contents and the talk that will occur in this video center around Lego Star Wars Clone Troopers and the release of the new Lego Clone Accessory Battle Pack minifigure pack with 2 plain Phase 1 Clone Troopers and the yellow Phase 1 Clone Trooper pilot from the gunship set. The first topic of discussion is the price change in the Lego Clone Pilot, or the yellow Phase 1 clone we're going to be getting in this battle pack. It is identical to the one that you can purchase in the, I believe, $300 gunship. I may be wrong. I don't know the exact price. Either way, it is an identical figure to this previously exclusive gunship figure. I tuned into a Lego auction on Instagram a couple months ago to see this Lego Clone Pilot the day after the gunship's release selling for around $50 and being bidded on like crazy. The figure sold plus shipping for over $50. Now, with the release of this new Phase 1 yellow Clone Trooper, the price of the gunship's Phase 1 Clone Trooper will significantly drop. If we check Bricklink, I guarantee you the figure has dropped more than $10 or more now because of the release. I didn't do my research specifically on that Clone Trooper, but I did do my research on the Phase 1 Clone Troopers. There are 3 variations of the Phase 1 Clone Troopers. The first one being the animated Phase 1 Clone Trooper plain, as shown on the screen. The second one being the realistic Phase 1 plain Clone Trooper, and the third being the newer version of a realistic Phase 1 Clone Trooper. All of these clones have come in many different sets, except for this new Clone Trooper, this second version of the realistic Clone Trooper. Let's call it the 2022 Phase 1 realistic Clone Trooper. Now, the question that we're trying to answer today is very simple. I'm not going to sugarcoat this anymore. I want to know how the price of the animated Phase 1 plain Clone Trooper and the realistic Phase 1 plain Clone Trooper, both models that have been out in sets that were released years ago and are now retired, I want to know how that price will change based on the release of the minifigure pack, including the 22 Phase 1 Clone Trooper. There are a few examples that can allude to a possible answer. The first one is the Phase 2 501st minifigure. The 501st Clone Trooper has gone through a lot of controversy in the last 2 years. To this day, there are only 2 types of 501st Clone Trooper, the first one being the animated 501st Phase 2 Clone Trooper, and the second one being the realistic Phase 2 501st Clone Trooper. I'm going to refer to them as animated and realistic. The animated 501st released first. It released years prior to the release of the 501st Battle Pack with the realistic 501st. The animated 501st figure has always sold for an average of around $20 ever since the release of Season 7 of the Clone Wars about 2 years ago. In December, the animated 501st Clone Trooper was averaging about $25 per figure. Keep in mind, this was December of 2019. The animated 501st Clone Trooper has released in 2 sets. I believe the first one being the AT-AP, which is a walker set with Yoda and a droideka, and the AT-AP, which consisted of Krell Pong and a 501st pilot minifigure. The realistic 501st Clone Trooper released in 1 set, the infamous 501st Battle Pack. The 501st Battle Pack was released in August of 2021 this year, and when it was released, the controversy was, will the animated 501st figure go down in price now that we have an accessible, realistic 501st Clone Trooper? Well, the answer to that was kind of. So if you look at the records on Bricklink, you can clearly see that the 501st Clone Trooper, the animated one, took a hefty drop in price once the realistic 501st Clone Trooper was released. Around the time of July or August of this year, the 501st animated Clone Trooper dropped from $20 average to about $17 average. And if you look at the realistic 501st Clone Trooper on Bricklink, it has always stayed a steady value of about $4-5. At the beginning, it was selling more towards $8, but it has never really sold above the $10 mark. So it has stayed very consistent in price. However, the 501st animated Clone Trooper has dropped since the release of the 501st Battle Pack down to an average of $15. The cheapest you can get it in the United States is about $14 on Bricklink. So to sum it up, the 501st Realistic Clone Trooper, aka the 501st Battle Pack release, didn't really change or affect the price of the animated Phase 2 501st Clone Trooper all that much. On a good day, you could get the animated 501st Clone Trooper for about $15, which is now your consistent price for the figure. Now, with the plain Phase 1s, we have seen the exact same thing that is happening now occur before. There used to only be one kind of Phase 1 Clone Trooper, and that would be the plain animated Phase 1 Trooper. Although we had a realistic release a few years after the discontinuing of the animated Phase 1 plain Clone Trooper. If you look into the price changes at the time of the release of both the animated and the realistic Clone Troopers, neither of these figures went for outrageous prices. They were both very reasonable for figures, sitting in the closer to $5, $2 range for a figure, which is nothing at all compared to what it is now. It's almost double or in some cases triple the price. But I remember being hesitant to purchase a animated Phase 1 Trooper for $2 a price. And I remember telling myself, let me wait until these figures drop to $1 and then I'll splurge and buy about 20 of them. But boy was I wrong, because they only shot from $2 to $5 as LEGO discontinued realistic Phase 1s and never released animated or realistic Phase 1s again until now. I believe sometime early next year, they will be releasing this minifigure pack. I'm sorry, I don't know the exact date. I should have paid more attention. But do I think it's going to affect the price of the Phase 1s? Yes, I really do. I think the animated Phase 1s will forever stay nostalgic and forever be that figure that is worth so much. But do I think the other realistic Phase 1 plain Clone Troopers will significantly drop in price? Yes. If you look on Bricklink right now, the realistic Phase 1 Clone Trooper plain sells for around $6 to $7 a pop. That's just what it's selling for right now. If you look into the recently sold or the average of what it's been sold in the past few months, it stays pretty consistent with a slow growth over the past 1 to 2 years. The value has really shot up. Similarly, with the animated Phase 1 Clone Trooper, it sells for around $8 a pop, and it has sold for $10, $15, or even $20 previously, although $20 would be a reach. The figure now, I would say, averages around $10, but you can get it for $9 to $8 on the site currently. Over the past 2 years, this figure's story is very sad price-wise because it went from about $2 to a staggering $8 to $10, and as I said, it reached a dark period where it was definitely around $15 a pop. Now, I don't think the Phase 1 animated Clone Trooper will be changing all that much in price. I think the demand is still just as high because you're not getting something that will replace the value or replace the animated Phase 1 plain Clone Trooper. You are getting something, however, that will replace the realistic Phase 1 Clone Trooper. Therefore, the demand for the Phase 1 realistic Clone Trooper will be met by this new 2022 Phase 1 realistic Clone Trooper. And because of this demand being met, you will see the price decrease. As supply and demand says, clearly when there's demand for an item and there is little to no quantity of that item, the price increases. However, when the demand is not met, when there is not a large quantity of that item, then the price increases. However, as we're seeing, there will be a large quantity of these Phase 1 2022 realistic clones. Therefore, the demand will be met, and therefore the price will drop. So, to summarize this video, I believe that you should stock up on animated clones, and I believe you should wait until next year when the minifigure pack is released to stock up on realistic clones. However, I wouldn't worry too much about getting your hands on realistic clones because I believe the prices will be dropping. Supply and demand is a very proven economical factor, and it's used all over the world in high-level marketing and high-level businesses. So I would trust the facts, and I would stay with my conclusion that the realistic Phase 1 Clone Troopers will be receiving a nice price debuff. However, even though I theorize that the price of the regular realistic Phase 1 plain Clone Troopers will go down, I may be wrong. The demand may not be met. So take what I say with a grain of salt. If you enjoyed my video, please consider subscribing. This is a new and growing channel, and I would really love it if you guys would check out my other content. Thank you, and I'll see you guys in the next one.